Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hazardous Artist Series, Season 2, Episode 3. This is going to be another one-hit wonder as I'm going to color live, I guess. What's that live? Because this is a recording. You know what I'm talking about. It's a real-time coloring session, just like last week. This is part 2 of the Skyrim Chronicles. And yeah, so I'm just going to talk about Skyrim while I color, because why not? And because I still don't have a video lined up, but I like these better anyway, so that you can kind of see how I go through the process of everything. So, Skyrim. As I mentioned last week on the Skyrim Chronicles, I love doing the alchemy stuff. And I will just explore Skyrim mercilessly while I look for my ingredients. And it could be a little tedious. But before I do, all of that, when I first start the game, I always do the same thing. I've made many files, but I always do the same thing when I start. I get through the first part of the cutscene where you do all that random stuff, and then you got that plot that shows itself like, hey, this is going to be the main story kind of, scene that sets the mood for Skyrim. But after that, it's kind of just a open world, and you can do whatever you want after that. And what I like to do every time, it never fails, and it takes hours to do too, before I even begin to do the second part of the main quest line, which is you got to go into this town, talk to some people, and then you have to go to another town to talk to some important people. So before I do any of that, I explore Skyrim. And it is one part because I'm trying to look for my alchemy stuff, like all my plants and everything. But another part is because I'm trying to gather every single waypoint I come across. And that's why it takes hours, because I'll see a waypoint on my map screen when I'm walking around my mini-map, and I have to get it no matter the cost, even if I have to climb to get it. And a lot of the times I just find a bunch of dragon shrines, and before you do the main quest line, there are no dragons, so it's just a bunch of like random enemies that you have to fight. And if you're lucky, you get the hag raven, and then you could get the hag raven feathers for your potions and stuff. Anyway, so I will gather all the waypoints. I come across a lot of the dragon shrines, and I get my words of power from there, and then I continue on with a bunch of my other waypoints. And my main waypoints that I always get is always Riften and Solitude. And I get Riften because there's a certain quest line that I always do without fail. It's a Thieves Guild quest line that I have to get Riften for. And when I go through Riften, I have to get all the waypoints through there. And I don't really like going through the Rift, that whole area, because there's just a lot of things that happen. And every time, without fail, I always see the vampire guy. There is a vampire questline if you got the DLC for Skyrim, which I'm thinking that a lot of people who play Skyrim actually have the DLC. But you can get the vampire questline from the vampire hunter, and without fail, every time I go through the Rift, I always find this vampire hunter without fail. Because you go through a town at night and suddenly you're attacked by vampires. Or you'll go through a random town and he just shows up. He's just like, hey, I'm recruiting for my vampire hunter guild faction. And I want you to come. And I'm like, okay. So I always go through the Rift. And for some reason, when you go through I don't know if that's the actual area name. I say the Rift because Riften is in the area. But every time I go through there, there's always something at night, like vampires, or if you're really unlucky, you get the cultists, which is a separate questline all on its own. And I think this last save file I have, the one that I'm playing currently, I just refuse to gather that the note that you have to get off of the body after you dispose of these particular cultists. And yeah, that body's still sitting in Riverwood right now because I just refuse to pick it up. That questline is not difficult per se. It is tediously long. And I say that because you have to go through a separate area to outside of Skyrim actually to actually complete it. And then you have to go through one of the Daedra domains, which is a you got the Aedra, which is the divines, and then you got the Daedra, which is kind of like the dark side of all of that. So you have to go through that area in order to, finish the quest line. And it's tedious because it's a type of dragonborn quest line, because when you are in Skyrim, you're the dragonborn, you can use these words of power as a weapon, and which I do all the time, by the way. And you can use that to help you in your battles. And doing this Dragonborn quest line is tedious because after you get to a certain point on your quest line, even if you just leave the whole area and do another quest line, if you defeat a dragon and you're trying to absorb the soul, because when you're in Skyrim, you have to absorb the soul in order to unlock these words of power to use. If you defeat a dragon, he has a chance to steal your dragon soul. So yeah, that's the reason why I haven't actually started that particular quest line, because I'm not ready. And not because I'm not strong enough. I have expert level spells right now, and I'm trying to get to my masters, and I'm at 97, and I have to be at 100 in order to even start that whole entire quest line, which is fine. But yeah, that's why I haven't even just begun that quest line. I just don't... I want my master level spells, because going through the Daedra domain is going to be a little bit tedious for me. And I know it's going to be tedious for me because, well, I'm used to my sneak builds and not so much a mage build, which is what I'm doing currently. And, well, I like sneaking! I don't like doing what Ken likes to do and just right into battle. I'm not a tank, man. Like, I just can't rush into battle. I die. I'm a noob. I have played Skyrim for 10 years almost. Since this game came out, I should say. I have been playing Skyrim since this game came out, and I'm still an expert level noob when it comes to this game. So, but, yeah. Back to why I don't go to this particular questline areas, because I'm not ready. So right now I think I'm doing the vampire questline right now, which you have to help a vampiress kind of prevent a certain prophecy from happening. And I'm going through the cave right now, which is full of just fun stuff to dispose of, I should say. A lot of enemies to get rid of. And I thought the quest line glitched a couple times, which was kind of disappointing for me, because Skyrim's one of those games that if you don't save often and you die, you go back to your last save file. And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I don't save. And when I die, things get a little bit heated on my end. And sometimes I rage quit because it's just not worth it to do all of that over again. So... But yeah, so that's every time I do that. Every time. I just get all the waypoints. And the advantage of getting all the waypoints at the beginning, I know, I jumped. I don't care. Just deal. Let it happen, because this is how my brain works. So, in the beginning, I get all the waypoints, and then we got off on a tangent about the vampire hunters. Anyway, so, the advantage of getting all of the waypoints in the beginning is that when you have a quest line and it's like you gotta go to this part of the region in order to get to this dungeon to go through in order to get this particular quest done, is that instead of having to walk over there, maybe you're tired or something, because sometimes I don't want to walk from like Riften all the way to Solitude. The advantage is that you can fast travel and you don't have to walk that whole distance, because let's face it, if you walked from Riften to Solitude, it takes about, if you're not stopping Maybe it'll take you 10 to 15 minutes. It's a pretty big world. That's one of the reasons why I like Skyrim, is because it is a big world. And it takes forever to get from one side of the map to the other because of its enormous size. It's also why I like Breath of the Wild for Legend of Zelda. But, you know, so sometimes I don't like to travel. Sometimes I have enough ingredients because because I hoard ingredients until the very last minute, and I really should stop that, because then I spend hours upon hours trying to sell my potionic creations, and it doesn't work out very well. So, yeah. I like to fast travel, and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm sure a lot of people like to fast travel, so that's why I get all the waypoints. And even if for some reason I didn't have that particular waypoint for that particular dungeon or cave or fortress or whatever, I'll have a waypoint that's, you know, closer, and that's very nice for me. And, you know, because when I gather all the waypoints in the beginning, I get all the ingredients. I can figure out what the ingredients do. And then I can make potions like the health potion and the mana potion, which, oh boy, is a treat of in itself. And, you know, it helps. It helps a lot to have those potions made rather than buy them, because, let's face it, some of those potions are a little bit expensive. So one of the things that Skyrim does that some players don't like it, and I'm a little bit on the waters with it, but when you level up, you can level up any skill for whatever class. Like I mentioned last week, Oblivion had it where if you picked a particular class, you could only level up those certain skills, like acrobatics or archery or, you know, those types of skills. But in Skyrim, it doesn't matter what class you pick, because it'll be, you can just level up any of the skills despite your class. So, but when you do, your enemies level up with you. So every time you level up, like your character level, not your skill level, but your character level, every time you level up your character, so do your enemies. And the one problem that I notice is that if you're working on your blacksmith skill and you level up your blacksmith skill, and then suddenly you're at level 30, let's say, just because you're doing your blacksmith skill. Maybe you're doing what I like to do and do your alchemy skill, and your character levels up because of that. Well, now you got a new problem, because you don't have fighting skills, and your enemies are a lot stronger, which is my problem, because I like to level up my blacksmith and my alchemy skills first, because, you know, money is a thing in Skyrim. I like to be rich in Skyrim. I could buy all the things. Okay, so I like to be rich, so I always level up all that first. And then, but because I do that, all my enemies are stronger, and I am not. I am, you know, babying myself through this world, as all my enemies are like, haha, one shot me and I die, kind of thing. That's what I'm having an issue with this time. It's because I started with my alchemy and my blacksmithing skills first. My dragons are super powerful, and I am not. So it's a problem I'm dealing with currently with Skyrim. But as far as the other enemies go, I'm doing okay. Mages are pretty OP in this game once you get to a certain point. And if you have your enchanting levels up, you can enchant your armor to make your spells even more powerful. And I say that, and a lot of Skyrim people are going to be like, huh? And I really mean, you can enchant your armor so that your spells cost less to do. And that works perfectly with master level spells, because your master level spells take so much mana, and I don't care how many times you level up, there's just not enough mana to do master level spells without these types of enchantments on your person. So you kind of have to improvise when it comes to that, and yeah, that's where I am right now when it comes to that. Oh boy, Skyrim is really fun though. I recommend it to anybody who likes these types of RPGs, these open world RPGs, because you're not confined to doing the storyline first. And that's what I like. also why I like Breath of the Wild for Legend of Zelda, which is also another great game I recommend to people who like open world type games. But Skyrim there's hundreds and hundreds of side quests you can do, and hundreds of, like, I don't know what to call these. They're not main quests, because the main quest is its own thing, but they're like guild quest lines. And then you have the Daedra quest lines, which they're very interesting. I've done a few, and I always seem to do the same, like 2 or 3 every time. There's one Daedric questline that I always do, because there is a certain artifact you can get from this Daedra when you're done doing the questline, and it's really nice when you're trying to do enchantments, because when you do enchantments, you have to have these things called, like, soul stones. Yeah, like soul gems. There it is. Soul gems. You need soul gems to do certain things with the enchanting aspect, because the soul gems, when they are full of souls, this could sound so bad. When they're full of souls, you can use these souls to enchant. And depending on the quality of the soul you get, will determine the quality of the enchantment of which you are putting your stuff on. So you can enchant your weapons, you can enchant your armor, and that's really nice. I like that aspect of Skyrim. The whole crafting system in Skyrim makes me really happy. But, so, when you do this Daedric questline, the end gives you a very special artifact that helps you with all of this, which is really nice. So I always end up doing that one. And then there's another one that I end up doing just because I can never escape it, no matter how many times I replay the game. And that is... It's... Okay, I don't remember the name of the questline, because I haven't even... I haven't even done it yet in this new file. But, trying to figure out what color I want this. Oh. I lost my train of thought! It's near this town, and you have to talk to a dog first, and the dog talks back, and you're like, ooh, wow, a talking dog. And then you start that Daedric questline, and I can never escape it, because I could run from that dog a million times over on that path, and they'll still catch up with me, and I will still have to talk to it. And you can deny the quest. It's not like I can't deny that quest. You can deny a lot of quests in Skyrim, which is nice. So when you do a dialogue, you can choose certain things to say during the dialogue, which will help or hinder you depending on what you choose, which is nice. You know, I like that type of power, I guess. I don't know how to describe it, but I do like that out of Skyrim. So you can deny the quests if you want to deny the quests, but I feel bad when I do, so I never do. And thus I do the questline, and I hate it because you have this ultimatum at the end of this questline that I sad face have to do. So never like doing that questline. But yeah, those are the 2 Daedric quests that I do. And then I'll do some of the lesser known ones that are spread across Skyrim depending on who I meet, which books I read, etc., etc. And it's very interesting. Skyrim has its very interesting qualities. It's like the one game that Bethesda did really well. And that's why it's super popular even after 10 years of, well, near 10 years of success, I should say. So, yay, Skyrim. And then, yeah, Daedra questlines. I have never done an Aedra questline. I don't think there are Aedra questlines, but if there are, I comment because I want to know, but I really don't think there are. And then you could do like menial side quests, like some of the shopkeepers will have quest lines, and if you finish them, you get perks from them. I always like to do Angeline's quest line in the beginning, and Solitude, which is one of the alchemists. She's my favorite alchemist in the game, so I always do her quest line because you can grab free ingredients from her afterwards, but she's like super nice. And then there's Arcadia. I rob her. I don't care. So in Skyrim, you can choose to be evil, you can choose to be nice. And for the most part, I'm nice. I would say I'm nice. I've done some questionable things in Skyrim, but the most questionable thing is robbing Arcadia, which is so much fun. I love robbing her because she's mean. And everybody's like, she's not that mean. I'm like, you walk in and she's trying to scam you to buy things from her. Like, no. So I just rob her blind. And it sucks because I still have to sell to her if I'm stuck in Whiterun, because when you're over encumbered, you can't really take a carriage, you can't fast travel, you'd have to walk there, but your walking speed is super, super slow, and yeah. And you can ride a horse, and I have Arvac, which is nice, but I'm not about to ride Arvac into Windhelm, which is my city of choice, to sell potions, because there's 3 different merchants I can sell potions to in Windhelm. But so sometimes I have to sell to Arcadia, but I always go into her shop right after I rob her, and I'm like, oh no, Arcadia, what happened? You got robbed! And, and if you're really unlucky, she'll send mercenaries to you, but if you're strong enough, they're pretty easy to just take care of. You can just dispose of them, read the note, kind of laugh, and go, yeah, this is why I rob you, Arcadia, because you do stupid things like this. And I'm not a nice person in Skyrim. I'm not a nice person in general, but it's one of the fun things I like to do in Skyrim that's kind of, questionable in my morality, I guess. But, so, and with it, you guys, I think I'm going to end the video here. I hope you enjoyed this, live drawing event that's not live because it's a recording, and so it's not live, but this real-time coloring event. I'm going to do a lot more of these where I just talk about random topics and color while I talk about it, because now I can multitask apparently somewhat. But we're going to finish this during all these sessions, so I'm going to continue these sessions so I can finish my wonderful original character Bayana. And and I hope you guys, because it's getting kind of crazy. 2021 is like a recap of 2020, but I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you all next week. Just to let you guys know, I do have new items in my Etsy shop. I have a cute little snake mug. If you guys remember my fun little snake, he is now a mug, and it says, I am Snake, I blip. So go to Etsy and type in Melzlaw Comics to find my store, or you can also go on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, and even my Twitch channel to find the link to my Etsy store. And you guys, I hope your day is not as snowy as mine, because 10 inches are on the ground so far. I'm snowed in, so I'm having a nice little snow day inside of my new home. And I will see you all next week. But until then, you guys, dare to create.